Hello, my name is Ian Gutowski. I am diagnosed bipolar 2. I have been institutionalized twice, suicidal thoughts, and planning it out, and really coming close to taking my life. I put myself there once. The other one, I didn't have much say in it. I am a touring stand-up comedian, and I am a mental health activist. I want this channel to be not only a place where you can kind of hear a little bit about my story and about what I struggle with, so that you know that you're not alone and that there's millions of us struggling, but also I want to provide tools, things that I've put into my life, and the things that I've learned in 8 years of being insanely aggressive on trying to find myself and to learn more about this, and put them out there for you guys. And hopefully some of these things, if not all, really start pushing you into the life that you deserve. Today's a great day because I had a horrible morning. I've been in Los Angeles for about 1.5 years now, so everything just kind of crashed on me this morning. You know, I've always, for the last few years, you know, I made a living as a stand-up, and now I'm out here and I have to, you know, get side jobs driving for Uber and all this other stuff, and it just all kind of came on to me. And I felt angry, first of all, right? I got real angry, and then jealousy took over. I started thinking about other comics that have been doing it. Like, I've been doing this for 13 years. Comics do less time than me, and they're like, you know, making a ton of money, and so all these things are going through my head. And then I got really sad. Now, back in the day when this kind of stuff would happen, this could, you know, send me into a really bad spiral. What I've learned is that communication is what I need in that moment. I need to talk to somebody about what's going on in my mind. I find when we talk about mental illness, we talk about like depression, bipolar, anxiety, is we tend to have a hard time expressing ourselves, right? And it's human nature to be heard. It's why we have, you know, musicians, dancers, comedians, whatever, painters. I mean, everything. We all, the reason we go out and hang out with friends, the reason, it's all about self-expression, right? The human race is insanely creative, and we need to be heard. That's it. Like, that's the biggest thing, is we need to be heard. So I find with mental illness, we tend to go the other way. Like, my early years dealing with this, when I didn't really know what was going on with me, was more of just introvert, and then what would happen is fantasy kicks into my brain, right? I got a caveman brain back here. You know, the two voices that you're always struggling with in your head? One of them is your caveman brain, right? That lower, that base stem, that hasn't evolved ever, right? Frontal lobe, the intelligent part, this is the reason we got iPads and shit, okay? And when this thing takes over this, it's not a good thing. You know, that is just a survival thing. That's just there if it sees a lion running at you and looks hungry. This is when this thing's supposed to work. Just those type of situations. This is supposed to rule the roost most of the time. So if we don't get it out of if we just don't express ourselves, and we just let this take over that frontal lobe, what we tend to do then is create fantasies, and then we lash out. We project, right? Like, we put our emotions on others. So I used to like attack anybody that I loved, you know, being shitty, like passive aggressive on Facebook and stuff, and just doing that sort of thing, right? And like lashing out. And so then on top of me not feeling well and me dealing with all this in my head, now I've got the shame and guilt of hurting people that I love, you know? So that's why communication is just like one of the biggest key factors in keeping yourself healthy upstairs. So what I want to talk about is like, and why I'm feeling better is because I had really good communication this morning. Now, it's up to you to set up the parameters of communication, because there's really like, there's 2 or 3 things that we got to deal with communication to make things right. Like, number 1 is vulnerability. That's the first thing we need to be. So if you're going through something and you say, this person has this, and why does this person have this? You're on the wrong path. Okay, what you've got to retune into is your own personal feelings. Like, so for me lashing out, it has nothing to do with them, it has to do with me. I just feel sad, I feel bad. I feel like I've really put in a lot of effort into this, and I've gotten a lot of payoff. But in that moment, I'm not seeing the payoff. I'm just seeing what I don't have instead of all the amazing things that have come into my life because of what I do and because of my career choices, right? But like, my mind wants to go this. So I got to know first and foremost, what are my feelings, all right? The second thing is environment. I've had more times of like trying to be vulnerable, trying to get in the right frame of mind in not the right environment. Like me and my wife, we've tried this. Like we're driving down the road, and I decide I need to share my feelings, and southbound on the 405 in heavy traffic is not the time to do it because it's not a safe environment, right? So you need a safe environment. For me, it's always my home, where I live, and it's always like on the couch, on the bed. And obviously, you might not have a spouse. You might have a friend or a mom or father, but you need an environment to where. So if it's even on the phone, it's got to be an environment that you feel safe in and comfortable in. And for me, it's always like I want to be touching her. Physically, really helps me because it allows me not to draw back if I feel threatened or anything like that. Because being vulnerable, as we know, is really hard to do. Saying like, hey, I feel sad, I feel this way, I don't feel worthy, I feel hopeless, right? But that's really what's happening. It's not that other outside shit that's doing that. It's all coming from here. So, and the third and most important, well, they're all important, but the third thing is what I do is I set up how that conversation is going to go. So, not step by step, but what I say is like, right now, I just need to be heard. Because usually when we go to friends with this, sometimes it makes them uncomfortable, and sometimes they just really want to help. And their view of helping is, I need to give advice, I need to play devil's advocate, and that can just ensue more rage, just throw the walls back up and you're back to square one, right? So that's something that you don't want, so there's a way around it, and it's just simply asking that person what you need. Like, so a lot of times I'll sit with my wife and look at, like, we've been through a million conversations and we still have to reset parameters, and I might forget, and it's going the way I don't want to go, and my voice is starting to raise because I don't feel like I'm being heard, and I don't feel like my emotions are mattering right now, because I didn't, at the beginning of the conversation, say the only thing I need right now is to be heard. I just need to puke all this shit out and just be heard. So, which is great. And then at the end of the conversation, if my wife has something to say, she'll be like, do you want some advice now? And it is my option to be like, no, I'm good. I'm fine. Or I'm like, hey, I really want to know what you have to say about this matter. So as you can tell by communicating with that, it was a really good experience. And like I say, so you might be in a position where you don't have someone to talk to or bounce anything off of, right? Like in the meeting, you might have just moved and you're going through something. Like NAMI is NAMI.org, great, National Alliance for Mental Illness. I spent time raising money for them. I think they're a great organization, and they've got discussion boards. You can call them if you're looking for a therapist, if you need a psychiatrist, whatever. They're a great resource. And then you have I started a comment section on my site, mental-healthhelp.com. Because once again, like I know when you're struggling, I know what it feels like. It sucks, and I just want you to live the life you deserve. So these tears are about knowing other people are suffering. So, anyways, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and that this helps.